Tony Khan blasts narrative that former WWE stars and current AEW stars will return to WWE following the change in regime in the company. We have an AEW Interim World Championship match made official for 2 weeks on Dynamite. Trios championships have finally been announced. We have a new champion crowned on Dynamite last night, and Jungle Boy cuts a fiery promo about Christian Cage. All this and more in today's AEW News. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling, especially with last night's episode of AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen on TBS. So let's start off talking about Tony Khan doing his classic Tony Khan-isms and getting people talking. Now, of course, a handful of performers currently work for AEW that are former WWE talents and specifically got their big breaks under Triple H in NXT's on the NXT brand. Now, of course, there have been major changes in WWE recently. Vince McMahon has resigned, retired, whatever you want to call it. Triple H is now the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations, but most importantly, he is now leading WWE's creative, and it's led to a lot of people discussing, actually, those people that are in AEW right now that are clearly favorites of Triple H, your Adam Coles, your Malachi Blacks, your Keith Lees, etc. Could they be tempted to return to WWE now that Triple H is in charge? Well, on Busted Open Radio, AEW Tony Khan had his say on those kind of discussions, and it's as you would expect. This is what he said, quote, "Some of the narratives I've seen every day for the last week are really amusing to me. I've got people signed here for 5 years, and people think just because the guy, the CEO, the chairman, the head of creative, those positions change in the competition. People, I have 5-year contracts, which are just magically going to switch teams." Two notable names, of course, from Levesque's tenure leading NXT were Adam Cole and Malachi Black, who performed as Aleister Black in WWE, and Tony Khan revealed that both of those wrestlers are signed with AEW until 2027, rubbishing any rumors that those performers in particular may be reuniting with Levesque anytime soon. I think that this got a lot of people talking, but there's different ways to look at it. First of all, he is right in what he is saying. Because Triple H is the head of creative, those people that they mentioned, your Adam Coles, your Malachi Blacks, they're going to jump back to WWE now? No, they've got 5-year deals. Now, you could argue maybe they request their release, but Tony Khan isn't in the position to honor it. They've got contracts, and they have to stay until they have those deals. You could argue, well, it was the same energy when it came to people like Mustafa Ali when they requested their release, and WWE said they weren't going to release him, and you got all angry. I suppose you've got to keep the same energy when it comes to them if they do request that, but I don't suspect that they would. I think the names that Tony Khan is omitting is those people that may have a year left on their contract or 2 years left on those contracts. The people that really WWE would be looking at right now. Make no mistake, Cody Rhodes was the first name to jump from AEW to WWE. There will be more. He will not be the only one. If you haven't been a pro wrestling fan, even a recent one, you go back and look at history when WWE and WCW were there in competition, when ECW was around, people jump from one thing to another. That's always how it works. And even people that are currently on the AEW roster, I'm sure they've got dreams of going to WWE. And I guarantee there'll be people on the AEW roster that thought, well, I'm in AEW, and I never even thought about going to WWE because I knew I wouldn't be a Vince McMahon guy. People's heads will be turned right now. There is no doubt about that. Cody Rhodes will not be the first and only name to jump from AEW to WWE. I wouldn't even be surprised if one day we see Cody Rhodes back in AEW. That's a long way away, though. And so is Malachi Black or Adam Cole going to WWE, but don't rule that out in the future as well. But I think Tony Khan, why bother saying it? You know, he has, like, I guess, Vince McMahon and like Triple H. Remember Triple H? This is the thing. People celebrate Triple H coming back into creative, and they should. But I also remember Triple H being very prickly. Remember those on those media calls, those conference calls going into takeovers? Triple H, very, very prickly. If anyone dared criticize the NXT product, Tony Khan is exactly the same. And I'm sure Vince McMahon was the same as well. Bookers don't like to be criticized. I also remember complaints towards the end of NXT, Triple H's tenure there, of saying that it had become too formulaic. And Triple H, we know he loves a heel champion. Oh my goodness, he loves a heel champion. How many heel champions were there in NXT for a long period of time? Babyface champions didn't have long reigns, really. So get ready for that on WWE television. There are pros and cons of everyone. Does Tony Khan need to go on Busted Open Radio and shoot down? Oh no, my talent's going to stay here. It seems awfully defensive, I would say, but that's Tony Khan, I suppose. Last night, Dynamite, we had the Fight for the Fallen special on TBS. The show opened with Jon Moxley defending his interim championship against Rush in actually a real fun opener. I really enjoyed the match. But after the match, we saw the Jericho Appreciation Society make their entrance. Chris Jericho says after 2.5 years, of course, Moxley defeated Jericho for the AEW World Championship in 2020 at AEW Revolution to win the championship for the first time. He said, Jericho said, I want my rematch. Moxley agreed on the condition that he's not facing the Jericho Appreciation Society wizard. He wants to face Lionheart Chris Jericho, and they're going to do so at Quake at the Lake in 2 weeks' time. There is going to be an interim world championship match. I don't suspect that Moxley will lose that match. I would suspect that somehow again, Eddie Kingston gets involved and sets up Jericho versus Kingston one more time, damn it. This time All Out in another gimmick match. I think that's where they're going with that one, to be honest with you. But really enjoyed, it must be said, Moxley versus Rush. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a really fun match. I thought the promo exchange was fine. The Jericho Appreciation Society stuff of appreciate us and all that kind of stuff, it's a little on the nose. I mean, I know previously I said it was a fun way of getting heat and it was a smart way, and I think that clearly Jericho again has done his darn best to try and reinvent himself once more, and he needed to. Has this one really worked? I don't know, because it's still very close to the inner circle. I don't care what people say. It's still a heel with a faction with similar people in that faction. It's still very much the same or quite close to the inner circle. I would have hoped that he would have taken a bigger swing, really, and maybe he will. But Jericho, is still wearing the leather jackets. He's still, being Chris Jericho from the inner circle. I don't see a ton of difference, it must be said, but it is what it is. Anna Jay, though, was out there with the Jericho Appreciation Society with a new look, new attitude. She's dubbing herself Anna JAS, Jericho Appreciation Society, and threatened to choke people out. Fine. Fine. That was fine. But I did enjoy the promo exchange by Jericho and Moxley, and I'm excited to see their championship match in a couple of weeks. As I mentioned, I think Moxley will retain, but certainly a big match for a couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings say for that match. Trios championships have been officially announced. One of the worst kept secrets, really, in AEW. We knew, and they have been discussed a million times, about Trios championships, and of course about the news of Kenny Omega slated to make his return at AEW All Out. It felt like it was inevitable that these championships were going to happen. They've been made for a really long time, but they introduced formally the AEW Trios Championships. It was announced that there would be a tournament for the titles, which would begin soon, with the winners being crowned at All Out on September 4. I suspect that the first champions are going to be the Elite, and the Elite being the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. He said before, Tony Khan on a press call, I think it was before Revolution earlier this year, that he wanted to do Trios Championships, but he was waiting for Kenny Omega to come back. That's when he wanted to do them. And the introduction of Trios Championships is basically the confirmation Kenny Omega's coming back, and Kenny Omega will be back at All Out. How they go there, I don't know. That's the interesting one, because I said this before, that I don't want to see Kenny Omega return on an episode of Dynamite to build up a tournament for him to then wrestle. Why would you have him wrestle 3 or 4 times? The hook for the pay-per-view should be that Kenny Omega returns at the pay-per-view, right? That's the hook. That's the thing that gets people talking. So last night the Young Bucks teased that they possibly could be teaming up with Hangman. Maybe Hangman teams up with the Dark Order. Maybe it's going to be Hangman and the Dark Order versus the Young Bucks and Kenny in that Trios Championship match All Out. I think they might be going in that direction, but Kenny Omega shouldn't be wrestling on Dynamite in the build up to that. So I think what they're going to do is possibly have the Young Bucks team up with Brandon Cutler and sort of carry him through these matches, and then once they get to All Out, they go, wait a minute, we're not going to have Brandon Cutler as our partner. The person who's going to be competing with us in the finals of this tournament at All Out is going to be this man. And out comes Kenny Omega to his return, and they win the Trios Championships. So I think that's the direction they're going in. We'll have to wait and see if that is accurate, though. Possibly my favorite thing that happened last night on Dynamite, Fight for the Fallen, was the FTW Championship segment. Now, Ricky Starks defeated Danhausen to start off this FTW takeover, shall we say, of the show, in a quick match, squashing him with a big boot and a spear. After the match, Starks did what he did last week and said, I've still got more left in the tank. I want another challenger. It's an open challenge. Out came Hook. Major, massive pop. Quick match. Hook gets the victory with Red Rum. Crowd goes crazy. Crowd goes absolutely insane. Taz is getting choked up on commentary. After the match, Starks and Hook give each other a fist bump. Just to talk on that bit, because there was so much that happened, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was short, but it was what it needed to be. I'm not huge on the FTW Championship in general. I do think there are too many championships, but it felt like a big moment, and the crowd never lies. The crowd was into it beyond measure. They are all in when it comes to Hook. They are all in when it comes to Ricky Starks. And they're all in when it comes to Danhausen as well, frankly. So I thought it was fantastic, and big up to Hook, and it just makes a ton of sense. And I was thinking just during it, what an awesome experience with Taz, sitting, doing commentary on national television, watching his son win a championship that was sitting on their mantelpiece for years as he grew up. I mean, what a moment. That is just fantastic. So I enjoyed that. I thought that was great. Afterwards, they came back from commercial, and Ricky Starks is in the ring with Powerhouse Hobbs, his tag team partner, with Tony Schiavone, and Ricky Starks goes on to cut one of the best promos we have seen on Dynamite in a really, really long time. It is passionate. It was babyface, it was raw, and most importantly, it was real. A lot of the stuff he was saying in this promo was 100% true. It was brilliant. I'll read out what he says, because I got the transcription here. Hat tip to Wrestling Inc. for doing this. So he said, quote, "Obviously I lost, and I'm no stranger to losing, and I'm okay with that. But I want everyone to know something. I was given that title when people thought it was a noose. I turned it around into a tie, and I made the most of it. I took leather and metal and made it into gold. I brought that title back to prominence. Nobody back there can say they did, but I did. It was me. I exceeded all expectations, busted my ass every day, and never gave up, even when I was less than 100%. I deserve to be here talking to all of you for more than 40 seconds. I deserve that. And there are people back there who tell me, hey, be patient, wait your turn. The time is going to come. I don't want to hear that no more. My time was last month. My time was last year. My goddamn time is right now. And I don't want people to say I've had a string of bad luck. It's not bad luck. It's just a string of bad timing. That's why me and Hobbs were. And when he said that, bang, he got absolutely smashed by his tag team partner, Powerhouse Hobbs, who picked him up, hit him with a spine buster. Everything about this was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. They created a star like that. The crowd are always into Ricky Starks anyway. Frankly, that it's taken this long to get some spotlight on him is nuts. Really, it is really insane, to be honest with you. But it was a fantastic promo. Ricky Starks can cut a promo. I remember the first time I saw Ricky Starks cut a promo, wasn't even in AEW, it was on NWA Power, one of the early episodes of NWA Power, before he even won the NWA Television Championship. This is back in 2019. Ricky Starks showed up, and they have those podium interviews, those old school podium interviews in the NWA, and I went, oh my goodness, this guy can talk, because he can cut a promo. He's got it. He's got the look. He can cut promos. He can talk. He can do everything. He can wrestle. He can have great matches, and the audience loves him. And what a promo that was last night. And make no mistake, him losing was to build him up. You can be built up by losing. That's exactly what they did last night. They got the title off him. They've separated up Team Taz, and Ricky Starks now can be a babyface superstar. And Will Hobbs can be a mega heel. Look at the size of this guy. Look at the shape of this guy. Will Hobbs is also a star. Am I slightly disappointed because I enjoyed him as a tag team? Yes. Was I slightly confused when a couple of weeks ago, when it was the Bucks versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Starks, and Swerve in Our Glory, and Swerve in Our Glory won? I went, that's a bit strange. Now it makes sense, because I would have put the title on Team Taz, but the reason they didn't is because they had plans for them. The plan is to turn Ricky Starks into a babyface superstar and Hobbs into a mega heel. Create new stars. Create your own stars. And that, I think, is what AEW has done in this instance. This can be really, really good. This can be proper. And it was an amazing segment. A really well done job by AEW. And Starks was just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I think that was a proper standout moment for him. So congratulations to Hook. Congratulations to Starks. Congratulations to Powerhouse Hobbs. I just thought it was brilliant. Finally, Jungle Boy spoke, shall we say, last night on AEW Dynamite Fighter Fest. Now, of course, recently Christian Cage has been really touching nerves when he's been doing his promos recently, talking about the late Luke Perry, the father of Jungle Boy, Jeff Hardy's issues with alcoholism, even the late Brian Pillman. He's been really, that's what Cage has been doing. He's been roasting people, essentially. Well, Jungle Boy did his own version of this last night on Dynamite and really got into it, talking about Christian Cage's divorce, the size of his, all that kind of stuff. Explained why Luchasaurus is with him, saying that, to be honest, he did not really explain that very well. Basically, he said that Christian Cage needed a monster, but the monster is his best friend. And everyone went, okay. It still doesn't make sense. The Luchasaurus heel turn for me just feels like to fill 2 weeks of television, unless, and this is just my, if they're not going in this direction, then it really makes no sense. That Luchasaurus is going to cost Jungle Boy the match when he faces Christian Cage, presumably at All Out. That's the one thing I have to be thinking it's a swerve. It has to be. If not, it's bizarre. It makes no sense. They just decided to go in a different direction. I thought the promo was fine. I mean, I have no issue with swearing or cursing. I do it a lot, not on camera, but everyone does it a lot. I did think a part of it was a bit too much, and certainly Tony Schiavone gave him a look as if to say, calm down. We're going to get thrown off television at one point, but it was fine. Jungle Boy's still not the best at promos. It's probably one of the better promos he's done. He still has a long way to go with that, but I thought it was fine. And I'm excited to see what happens in their match when they have it all out, even though it hasn't yet been announced. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on today's AEW news stories in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wrestling News 365, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.